All right. Hello, everybody. It's Becky here at Aunt Beck's Creations again. I hope everybody has their fabric with them. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out our pattern based on the piece of fabric that you have. So you need a way to measure your fabric and and a piece of paper. And I'm just using a piece of drop paper to draw my pattern on, but if you've got like newsprint, a newspaper, anything paper that's as big as half of your fabric, you'll be fine. Okay. So we'll let everybody get in here. I know a lot of people on the other side of the world are going to sleep. So night night, everybody over there on the other side of the world. And I look forward to you watching the replay. So the first thing you're going to need to know is how wide your fabric is, because you need half of that measurement. All right. There's hardly anybody in here right now, so I'm hoping people start coming in. Let's see if my chat's working. Say welcome. And again, if you're here and you'd like to participate in chat, all you have to do is subscribe. I do that to protect my subscribers from all the nasty bots out there. So hi, Angie. There's everybody. They're coming in now. I got two. Yay, two. Angie and me. And probably maybe one other person's there. Nashwa, hello. All right. So I'm just gonna measure my width and the height of my piece of fabric and write it off to the side. And I meant to grab a measuring tape. So let's see. My width is about, I'm going to say 22 and a half or 22. I'll just say 22 inches wide. Mine's 22 inches wide. And the height of my piece of fabric going this way is about 17 inches. Yeah, right about, I'll just say 16. So that's the first thing you need to know. You haven't been in chat all day. That's fine. Hey, Ruth. So if you know your width of your fabric, we'll go ahead and handle the width. That's the maximum working area you have, is half of your width. You can use your full height if you want to, or you can make your bag as tall as you want to. But I'm going to do mine and tell you which measurement I'm using. And so I'll write on here, my width is, I protect you guys here in chat, but then I get these idiots leaving comments. Do not post, if it's somebody you don't recognize or it's in a foreign language, don't click on those links, because they inevitably are someplace you don't want to go. So I will take care of him after I sign off here. But anyway, my piece of fabric is 22 inches wide by 16 inches tall. That's my maximum size I can do my bag. So I'm just going to put some guidelines on here for right now in pencil. I've got a piece of paper that's been rolled for a very long time, so it's not wanting to do. And I've got this handy dandy large ruler here. So I'm going to see how tall this piece of paper is. Let's see here. Well, this is only 17 inches tall, and I'm 16 inches tall there. So I need half of the 22 this way. So So my problem's going to be making sure I'm straight. So half of 22 is 11 for me. So whatever half is, that's the width of your paper needs to be. I don't know if this one's straight or not. Let me fold this in half. And I'm going to get my paper cutter and I'm going to get this thing cut square, at least on one side. Actually, I could cut all of this in my paper cutter, I bet. I folded this in half, the height wise. I'm going to trim this off. And then I need half of the 22. So I need to pull this out and flip this over. Cut this at 11. And that'll get my piece of paper down to half of the width. And it'll be square, or relatively square. And then if I turn it this way and I do from the fold, here's my fold. And I measure 8, because 8 and 8 is 16. And that's basically the height of my piece of fabric. And I can trim this down. And then my piece is perfectly square. And we can start. So this is half of the width of my fabric and about exactly the height. All right. So now what I have here is half of this divided by 2, my width. So my piece is 11 inches wide by 16 inches tall. All right. I want my bag. Let me get some pattern weights because this is driving me crazy. I don't want to spend most of the time fighting a piece of paper. So we'll take care of that. And if you guys want to know how to make easy pattern weights, I'll show you that another time. They're basically filled with rice. They're really easy to make. All right. And I like to do a flat bottom bag. Now, some people, they'll just sew down the sides and then sew the bottom and then fold the fabric. So they'll have this down the side and then they'll flatten the bag out and they'll draw a line across, sew across it, trim the corner away. I just cut the corners away to start with, and then I don't have to deal with them again. So what I do is I'm going to take a 2-inch square out the bottom because I want a nice fat bottom on the bottom of this because I'm thinking of using mine as a project bag. All right, for like knitting, crocheting, or small sewing projects or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead. If you have quilt rulers, that's great. I have quilt rulers, but I figured I would do this just with a pencil. So I'm going to mark that at 2 and this at 2. Connect the lines. And then again, I'll come in 2 from the end here. If you prefer the other method, feel free to use it. I prefer this method. I think I get a better finish than folding the fabric and cutting and sewing across and that. I feel like I do. And then we're going to cut this part away. All right, I'm going to do the same over here because this is the bottom of the bag. You do what you are most comfortable with. 2 inches up from the bottom. Draw a line. And 2 inches in from the side here. And again, I'm getting shadows. I'm sorry, guys. It's that time of day. I can try turning this other lamp on over here. Let's see if that'll help. I don't know if it will or not. Don't know unless we try. All right, and we'll cut that out. Let's see, scissors. Let me just cut this out. And on this bag, I'm going to only use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Let me lift this up and cut these out. Now I'm going to use another just plain cotton fabric. If you don't have fabric in your stash, but you have like an old sheet that's, you know, not long for this world, you could use it, or a pillowcase or something like that. Something you don't hold dear that you're ready to get rid of, you can recycle it. All right, now I've got it turned so the bottom's facing me now. I ought to keep the orientation the same just to make it easier for you guys to see. Can you see the top of it now? All right, now I want my bag to be kind of angled. So what I'm going to do up here at the top of the bag, from the corner over, it's not going to be really drastically angled. You're just going to measure in about 1 inch from each outside edge. There's that one. And this one here. All right. And then if you've got a long ruler like I do, I don't know if this one will reach. Not quite. So I do need the long ruler. What I'm going to do is draw from my mark here to this corner here. I'm just going to line that corner up, line this mark up, and then draw this up through here, and we'll cut this away on both sides. And it doesn't look like much, but it'll be enough that it'll be a slightly angled bag. All right, so we'll cut those away now. And this is your pattern. And we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And if you're using your own bag's measurement, the only thing you have to remember is figure out what your total height of your area is. That's the height of this piece, not the bag, the piece. Because some of your fabric will go under and be the bottom of the bag. I hope that makes sense. So half of the width of your actual fabric, and then the height of the fabric. That's the ones you need to know to draw your pattern out. And this is going to have a drawstring on it. And I will probably use the same fabric I line it with to make a little channel for the ribbon or rope or whatever you decide to use for the drawstring part. Whatever you have. Don't think you have to go buy something or whatever. Use what you have on hand. Like I said, if you don't have like a fat quarter, you could you might need 2 fat quarters to get all that you need for the lining. But just little bits of fabric can work too. I mean, if you have scraps, sew them together and just make a simple patchwork that's the same size. If you made a scrappy patchwork for your lining, that's fine. But make sure it's the same size as this, because then your pattern will fit on it. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take our pretty fabric that we've made. This is my top, and I'm going to figure out a way to leave my selvage exposed on my bag. So I might have to make a second bag to show you how to sew it together without leaving the fringe, just to make it easier for you guys, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my pattern on the back of my fabric. I'm going to come all the way to just the actual edge. I'm not going to count the fringe. And I'll put my pattern weights on here. All right. Then all I want you to do is mark it on the back or cut it out right away. I just want to mark it on the back for mine right now, just so you can see what you have to do here. And I don't think this marker is going to work. That's fine. I have a Sharpie. Pen Plus gears are good when they work, but when they don't, they really stink. All right. I got a little shy over here. I'm not going to worry about it because I've already marked it on that other side. All right. Pick this up, match these up. Whoops. Now, if you wanted to pin it on and cut it out, you could do that. And I can already see I'm going to lose some of my stitching. So I'll have some pretty little bits that I can use for something else. And we had our second earthquake here today. And the second one was quite a bit aggressive. So we'll see if we have another one. All right, I'm going to take my pattern now, and I'm just going to take and I'm going to flip it. So it's face down on this side. You just want to make sure you're not overlapping your other piece. And we're going to cut this out. I just didn't want to try to pin through this heavy paper is why I'm kind of marking mine. All right. I'm a little off screen, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm just lining the ruler up with the edge of the pattern. And I've seen a couple other bags that I like on Pinterest. So we might have to do this again to do a different style bag. If you guys like bag making, I like to make bags. It never seems like you have enough. And when you get to the store, your grocery bags always seem to be left at the house. So there's no saying you have to have too few of those. You can make as many as you want once you learn how to make them. Alrighty. We're going to mark our little squares out. And the reason you want to flip your pattern is not as important with this, but if you were making a shirt or something and you wanted a front and a back, the front and the back of this are going to be exactly the same, but they're not on a shirt. So you always want to flip your pattern piece so you have both representations. And if you wanted to not cut these out, you could just go by the marks on the back and do some more stitching. Uh-oh, this is not over quite far enough. There we go, I guess so. All right, then all you gotta do is take your pattern piece away. And I might save this pattern piece. I might want to make another bag like this. Plus, you gotta have this pattern piece for your lining. So whatever lining you want to do to use, I would make sure you save this somewhere so you can cut that fabric out too. And that you could just pin or use your pattern weight and cut it out. Howard's going crazy now. Now you can go ahead and leave them like this and then just put your beading within the main body area. I probably wouldn't put anywhere. This is the bottom of the bag. I probably wouldn't waste a bunch of beads on the bottom of a bag. But I would add more beading in here. It might be easier to handle it, to embroider on it in smaller pieces. But this is all we were going to do today is draw a pattern. And I hope it was clear. If anybody has any questions, now's the time to answer. And I will look and see if I can find the other piece of pre-painted background that I have done so that I can show you how to sew the bag up without leaving the fringe, because I don't think anybody else had the fringe. So I want to give you both options. And I think that other piece of fabric is big enough to make a bag like this as well. And what else? This week, locate your fabric for your lining. So you'll need a piece big enough to handle both of your pattern pieces, plus enough for, like right up here, we're going to need 2 strips about 2 inches or 2.5 inches wide that will sew as channels. Actually, you'll need 4 because you need 2. No, you need 2. One on the front, one on the back. And something to do your ties with. When you're doing your beading, make sure you stay away from about, I would say, 1 inch from all of your lines or your edges. I'll go ahead and cut these out so you guys can see what it looks like cut out. I think it's easier to handle to do the beading if it's smaller as well. And I love my gingers. Yes, I'm cutting right through my stitching. But a lot of that will get locked in place when we stitch our bag, so I'm not going to freak out about it. Okay. If you could put questions all in caps or do the @Aunt Beck's Creation so I can see it, that would be helpful. So see, that's got just a little bit. I could clip this. And it's got some paints and stuff there. Clip it and save it for something. And this could be a tab or something there. It's got a little something on it. And I will probably go to my quilt fabric stash and just pull something out. Oh, that's awesome. Fresh roasted vegetables. Oh, delicious. See, that's a nice little bit that we could use for an embellishment on something else. It's kind of interesting when you start cutting your bag out, because then you'll discover all these little bits that you can use on other projects. So I'll save all those little bits in case we do a fabric journal. So if you know how to draw your pattern out. So this is one side of my bag here. And it's going to have, remember, we're going to take 1/4 inch off each side. So you lose 1/4 inch from each side. So my bag's only going to have a small opening. But I thought that would be good for like a crochet bag. And then this, you sew your corners closed, and it'll be a fat bottom bag. Like these will come together like this. So it'll be, you can tell how wide the bottom of the bag. Just measure from this to this. So the bottom of my bag is going to be, I'd say 7 inches. Yeah, 7 inches at the bottom after I get my corners all sewed. And then my top opening will be about 16 inches. So that's still fairly big enough to get your hand in. And another thing I was thinking we might do is once we get the bag sewed together, we will measure the bottom and create a, you can use plastic canvas or a piece of cardboard and cover it with fabric, and then you can slide that down in the bottom of your bag to give you a firm bottom. So basically it would kind of stand up with a firm bottom once you get a project shoved in it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my other side out. And you can see, I can already tell I'm going to have a lot that I'm kind of losing, but I can use it on other projects. And I only use these gingers for fabric. So see, I've got all this beautiful yumminess to play with on another project. I could even add it to my stitch roll as a remembrance of this bag. In fact, this piece right here might be perfect to add to my roll. Look at that. It's got flowers, it's got stitching and fabric. So one last time, measure your fabric, measure your piece of fabric, and decide which is your width and how you want the fabric to roll. Once you figure out which way you're going to go height-wise, call that number. So my piece measured like 17 something, but I decided to say it's 16 inches tall. That's how big I made my paper, 16 inches tall. My piece of fabric was 22 inches wide, so I divided that by half, so 11 inches wide was the maximum width mine could be. And then you'll have to scroll back and figure out how we came up with this angle. But your main thing to learn is how wide is your piece of fabric. Divide that by half. That gives you your total width of your pattern piece, not of the bag, but of your pattern piece. And then I talked about how to get all these other measurements. All right. So here are mine two pieces that now this week I'm going to add beading to this. So next week when we get together, you'll need your piece with your beading or anything else you want to add to the outside, because we're going to line our bag. And once we get it lined, it's really hard to stitch on it unless you're not using a lining. All right, just an FYI. And when you add your beading, you don't have to put any on the bottoms. That would be a waste of your beads, because that's where the bag is going to sit on the floor. I would put all of the beading just on the sides. I would stay an inch away from all the sides and the top of the bag so that your presser foot on your sewing machine doesn't get hung up or sewing over beads. So yeah, so we'll do these next week. Once these are beaded, then you need something to line it with that are the same size. So go ahead and you can cut those out ahead of time. Your lining pieces. Use your pattern that we made. We made a pattern just on a piece of brown paper, newspaper, or whatever that you have. And you can use your rotary cutter just like I did, and then figure out your angle for your bag sides and cut out the 2 inches right here on all the corners. Unless you are one that likes to do the whole flatten it out, sew across, cut the corner off later. If you want to do it that way, you can just leave it flat across the bottom. I prefer to do the corners like this. That's just me. Let's see. Lining fabric. Enough lining to do both of your pattern pieces, just like this, cut out. Then you need 2.5 inch strips by the width at the top. So for me, I need a 2.5 inch strip by about 8.25 inches, or yeah, I would say 8 or 8.5 inches, 8.5 by 2.5 strips, to make your channels, because we'll have to put the channels on the sides. So don't put beading about 3 inches from your top. Leave the top 3 inches of your bag up here. Leave 3 inches alone up here, so we can put our channels on. We'll sew some channels and put them on here so that we have some place to feed ribbon, rope, whatever you have that you can use for your drawstrings. Now, those you will need 2 pieces, because we're going to thread them through going one way and then thread them through the other. So when you draw it up, you'll have 2 strings and you'll pull them and it'll draw your bag closed. You need more than the width of the bag because you need it to hang down some. I would say 20 to 25 inches each of whatever you're going to use, whether it's a grosgrain ribbon or a piece of fabric you've sewn into a tube, or what's that stuff? Cording, or the rope, jute. If you want to use jute, you can use jute. If you have a spool of that, whatever you have that would make a good drawstring. So again, stay away from a full inch with your beading from each side, 3 inches away from the top, and don't do the bottom part either. So you only have a little area here to add beading, just to bling it up a little bit. And you can add sequins, whatever you want in this area down in here and on both sides, because we want our bags to have bling, right? Oh, Kathy had to go. That's right. And I saw her news about her brand new grandbaby has the C word, which is not nice. She just got here. It's not good at all. Ann says she forgot I was on. Oh, and she needs a firm bottom. Oh. All right. Any questions? Did I miss anything? I guess I can scroll back up. Those are pattern weights. Let's see. Let me see if you guys said something and I missed it. This could be the world's shortest live for me, because that's all I had planned to do. Yep, everybody loves, especially a decorated handmade, hand decorated, really nice bag. Oh, and Angie says she had buffering. Is everybody else okay? I mean, I didn't lose a bunch of people, did I? All right. So I need to. Hi, Mary Lou. How are you? I'm struggling with the t-shirt project. The sewing machine is giving me a headache. This whole t-shirt that I chose to do today is giving me a headache. So I may not get any t-shirt up for the t-shirt challenge. Right now I'm debating just taking these sleeves and cutting off the part where they wanted a button under my arm and just have really short sleeves on the shirt. That's what I'm leaning toward, because what I've got on there right now just looks awful. And I didn't realize this t-shirt has a peekaboo back on it. So the back is open on it. It's weird. Anyway, if you are late, it's no problem. That's what replays are for. So I just drew a quick pattern, and yeah, Kathy can't do vegetables and chat at the same time. Come on, get some talent, Kathy. No, don't want you to cut yourself. All right, I guess I'll close at that. And this is the world's shortest live for me. And that's all I wanted to do today, is draw this pattern up. So unless you guys have questions, I'm thinking I might call it for the night and go try to deal with this t-shirt. Of course, I could make you all struggle with me on the t-shirt, but I'm not set up for that. All right. Oh, hi and bye, Cheryl. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Remember, bring both sides all beaded up, ready to go. Stay away from 1 inch from either side, 3 inches from the top. Don't do the bottom. And you'll need fabric for your lining and your drawstring pockets, whatever your channels, and something to do your pulley bits with. So Janet, hi and bye. I'm having the world's shortest live. You can watch the replay, and I will see you guys next Wednesday at 7:30. Although I may come on earlier. I'm still debating it, because I can come on during the day and not have all of these nasty shadows. And we will be meeting at the sewing machine next week. So you guys will be on my sewing table. I got to figure out how to rig all that up. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. And thanks again for thumbs up and all your comments too. Bye, guy.